What's up, guys? Fernando here. A little bit of story time. This weekend was not what I thought it was going to be. A little update for many of you, and just a crazy story for many of you, and maybe a word of caution. So, on Friday, this past Friday, I was supposed to go in early on Friday morning for a minimum surgical procedure. TMI, it was a hernia umbilical surgery. A couple years ago, maybe about 2 years ago, I started seeing like a little bulge coming out of my belly button. And at first, it didn't really bother me. It was a little bit aesthetically off, but I didn't really care until I started picking up my kids or laughing really hard and I could feel it. And so I was like, I'd rather just kind of get it checked out. So I went to the doctor, got it checked out. Everything came back fine. It wasn't like a major issue. It was more aesthetic than anything. And so I decided just to schedule an appointment and get it fixed. If I can, why not? So I went on Friday to do this procedure that I thought was going to be just in and out, outpatient. Well, I went in on Friday morning, super early, like at 5:30. My wife dropped me off at the local surgery place. In fact, she stayed with me for a little bit until she had to go back home. So they get me prepped. It's about 2 hours of prep time. They take my blood, they check all my vitals, and everything seemed fine. And honestly, I was a little bit nervous, given my history. If you guys know me, I had surgery about 2.5 years ago for thymoma, which is cancer of the thymus gland. I had to get a tumor taken out of my chest, and I went under and all that stuff. So this time around, I'm a little bit nervous. I'm a little hesitant because I have to go down or I have to go under again, and I'm a little nervous about it. Anyways, the doctor explained it super well. I watched a couple of videos here and there on YouTube to kind of educate myself because I'm like that. And so I felt fine. I felt okay. In fact, I didn't even think it was that big of a deal. I didn't even tell my extended family. I didn't tell my mom or my sisters. Nobody really. I just my wife knew. So I go in again, everything gets checked out, everything's fine. I'm in the operating waiting area. And finally, they wheel me out towards the operating room to get the procedure started. Well, I go under. I honestly don't even remember when they started giving me the medicine to get knocked out. I just knocked out. I woke up. This is where things just turned in an unexpected way or direction. So, first of all, the last time I was under anesthesia, the doctor said that when I woke up combative. In fact, it took about 4 to 5 nurses to hold me down. This is the last time I had an operation on my chest, and it took 4 to 5 people just to hold me down because I was trying to take off things. So I'm that type of guy. Well, apparently, guys, I did it again. This time around, like 4 nurses had to hold me down because I was trying to take everything off of me. I mean, I was combative. Shout out to the nurses at the hospital. So sorry if I hurt you or pushed you off too rough. But apparently they told my wife that I was very combative and I was trying to take off all the things again. Anyways, so I woke up. My wife's there waiting for me. My son is there and the nurse. And I woke up not able to breathe. Like I couldn't breathe. I couldn't like catch my breath. I mean, as I was talking, I was like kind of short with my breath because I couldn't really breathe. And I kept saying to the nurse, like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. And the nurse kept saying, you're going to be okay. You need to relax. You need to do this like this one exercise with this one device. And I'll put it right here because I forgot what it's called. But that will help you strengthen your lungs. Well, I kept telling my wife, who was on my left, I'm like, Faith, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. And so they actually had me in the recovery room for a longer period of time, more than what they usually do because of my oxygen levels. Without oxygen, my oxygen levels were dipping down into the like low 90s. And so they were concerned about that. Well, I was like that for a couple hours. Like my oxygen levels would not go up and they couldn't figure out why. So finally, after a couple of hours, they decided to let me go once my O levels went up a little bit. Now, pause. Looking back, we all agree, my wife and even the nurse that took care of us later on in the story, they should have never let me go home with those oxygen levels that low on my own. Anyways, I get discharged. I go home and I tell my wife, I don't feel good. Like I can't breathe. I can barely even, I'm in excruciating pain because when they did the umbilical surgery, or they did a huge like patch. They put like a mesh around the bottom of your belly button so that your belly button doesn't pop out. And so there's a bunch of stitches all around on the inside of my stomach and on the sides because they had to go in through a robot that I can't even like move. Like any core muscles that need to engage to like move, get up, bend over, and breathe, I'm under excruciating pain. Like I can't even move. So I get home. Also, to kind of add to everything, we get home and our AC unit is out. Like it's not working. And we live in the Southwest, in Las Cruces specifically, and temperatures have been going up from like 103 and up. Like it was like 109 one day. Well, our house is an oven, and we're like, I'm sweating, I'm hurting, and it's just a bad time. Thankfully, my sister had the kids, and so it was just Faith and I at home. And so I'm laying in bed and I'm telling Faithy, I can't wait. Like I can't breathe. Like I'm having a hard time breathing. And so she's like, maybe try that plastic thing that they told you to try. And so I'm trying it. Nothing's working. Finally, I put a pulse oximeter onto my finger. I think that's what it's called. And I'm looking at my heart rate and my O2 levels. My heart rate's shooting up to like 130, 140. And my O2 levels are dropping from 89, 85, 80. And I'm a little bit worried because I don't really know much about these things, but I do know that your O2 levels are not supposed to be that low. Now, I did make the mistake. I don't know if it's a blessing or a mistake because ChatGPT is very helpful in some areas, but if you don't have the knowledge to discern or understand the information, it can really mess up your head. So I just asked, is it normal for your O2 levels to be that low after surgery? And it was like, no, go to the emergency room. And so I'm telling Faith, I don't think this is normal. And so I get up as best as I can to go to use the restroom, and my O2 levels drop to like 70, and that thing's on my finger, so I can see that number go down. So I sat down and I'm like, Faith, I can't even get up. I said, Faith, I think we need to call an ambulance. And at first she was like, are you sure? Do you want to wait it out? I'm like, no, like I feel hot, like I'm running a mild fever, which is normal after surgery, by the way. But at that moment, I didn't know what was wrong. My pulse is going up to 150, my heart rate, and my O2 levels are at 73, 74. I'm like, I can't breathe. So we call the ambulance, and I'm just like, I can't believe this is going on. For like a simple procedure, I cannot believe this is going on. So the ambulance gets to our house, and they get there, and they're checking me, and they're like, yeah, your heart rate's a little bit up, and your blood pressure's a little bit up, which I already suffer from high blood pressure anyway. So I'm like, and they're like, yeah, we got to go to the hospital. So they put me in the ambulance, and I'm on my way back to the hospital. Back just a couple hours after I was discharged. So now, part 2 of the story, I'm at the ER. And God bless Mountain View. God bless the hospital here in Las Cruces. I know it's not easy to have good people sometimes, or even you can have the best facilities and have the wrong people, and it really messes everything up. Well, unfortunately, I had a series of just like bad, just almost negligent service the moment I got there. I mean, it was just not the best experience at the ER. I just got to say it how it is. Like, God bless the nurses and the doctors that put a lot of work into this. It sucks that it takes a couple of bad apples to like really make it look bad. But I am aware. I work with nurses. Part of my job is to work with excellent nurses, LPNs, etc. So I know not everyone's like that. And I know not all ER departments are like that. But my experience was just, unfortunately, it was not the best. I mean, from the moment I got there, they're taking blood pressure. They're doing it from the wrong arm. They're sticking needles in my arm. They can't figure out how to get blood out of me. I mean, not only that, those are little things. I mean, they are, at one point, for example, they leave the room. My wife's not there, and I'm trying to get a hold of someone. I don't have a button clicker thing. I mean, if you've ever gone to the hospital, unfortunately, as many times as I have, I mean, every bed has like some sort of remote control that you can push, or a button that you can push if you need help. There's none. I can't find one in my bed. They didn't give me one. And so thankfully my doors are open to the room, and I'm like waving people down like I need help. And it's, by the way, if you're trying to get help, don't go like this, because people think you're waving. Well, I figured out after a while, even after people locked eyes with me, that people were not coming in. And I'm saying like, hello, hello, help, anyone in there? Nobody was coming to me. Finally, 2 doctors passed by, and I'm like, hello, hello. And they notice, and they tell the nurse that's in charge, hey, there's someone in there that needs help. So he comes in and he's like, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't even know. Honestly, I don't believe anything he said. I mean, he had been there for a while. I can hear him talk, so I'm pretty sure he can hear me say, help. Anyways, the whole thing was a nightmare. I'm in excruciating pain. They don't know what's going on with my lungs, like why I can't breathe. So they started doing their due diligence. The first thing was to do an x-ray. They come in, that was painful. Having to move when your belly has just been a couple of hours from surgery. And I have a ton of stitches inside of my stomach right now. At that moment. So I'm in excruciating pain. The morphine's not helping. It sucks. So I have to move so they can do the x-rays. I get it. It just sucks. After the x-rays, I have to do CT scan in case I have a pulmonary embolism, or PE, in case there's a blood clot in my lungs, because they're like, why can't he breathe? They take me to the room, and I've done CT scans before because I've had cancer in the past. And so I know what they are, and I know how they do them. It sucks not being able to move. It sucks even more having to get in a little table and go straight on your back and then go into a little tube. It was excruciating. And not to mention that the poor guy that was trying to help me honestly didn't really help me. And I'm struggling to get out of the gurney, get onto the bed, or to the scanning bed, get off the scanning bed, get onto the gurney again. It was just like, that made a grown man cry. I mean, it was horrible. So I finally get into the gurney. They get me out of the CT scan room, and they're like, it'll be about 45 minutes till you hear from someone. Well, 3 hours later, we finally get some news. By the way, the doctor that was there left without even talking to us, which, again, why? Finally, the sweetest doctor came in, and he starts letting us know like what's happened. The CT scan showed that my lungs were fine. There was inflammation inside of my stomach, but that was normal after surgery. But there was no pulmonary embolism, which is the greatest news because you don't want to have that. So that was ruled out. Then they're looking at the inside of my stomach, and it looks at the gas that they pumped into my body, which, by the way, I didn't say this from the beginning, but when they do that operation, they have to pump gas into your body. Basically, it's carbon dioxide to inflate your body so that they can work in there. Well, sometimes when this happens, the gas can create pressure up on your chest and partially collapse your lungs. I can't remember the word. I think it's atelectasis, and I'll put it right here. And it's basically the partial or complete collapse of your lungs. Well, I didn't have one, but both of the bottom halves of my lungs collapse after surgery. They didn't know this. So when I woke up from surgery, the reason I was gasping for air and I couldn't breathe is because my lungs were collapsed and nobody checked. Hours later, they're like, I think that's what it is. And so the only way to treat this is by doing the breathing exercises, sitting upright, and letting my lungs inflate naturally again. Well, it's hard to breathe when not only are you in excruciating pain from surgery in your stomach area, but also when you have gas inside of your body. And if this is not inside of your organs, not to be confused like gas in your belly where you can just pass gas. No, this gas is pumped into the cavity where your organs are placed, so it doesn't go inside your stomach. It's in the space between the organs, so it's creating pressure. And it takes about 24 to 36 hours for that gas to naturally kind of get seeped into your body, which is amazing that you can breathe this carbon dioxide out. So basically, it's just a perfect recipe for pain. My lungs are collapsed. There's pressure pushing in on the lungs. And the panic of not being able to breathe is just causing my heart rate to just shoot up. Also, I'm in pain. So every time I take a deep breath, it's stretching all those stitches in my stomach. It sucked. What I thought was going to be like a in and out procedure ended up 2 days at the hospital. And it was just the worst. I mean, talk about messing with your head, messing with your emotions, messing with your faith. Like, it was horrible. Thankfully, the silver lining in all of this, well, one, we saw our friends and neighbors our friends and family just step up. Shout out to my neighbors who stepped in, took our dog home to watch our dog. Shout out to my sister and my brother-in-law who took in my kids for 2 days, fed them, entertained them, etc. Shout out to my mom and my other sister who came to the rescue at the hospital, stayed there with Faithy, and my mom the next day coming to the house and watching the kids. Thank you. A couple of you guys have already texted and kind of gave you an update, but I just thought I'd just do a video to kind of give everyone who cares. I just thought maybe for anyone else who watches on TikTok or any other the other social media sites about getting a hernia umbilical surgery, like watch for these things. Obviously, you don't know that you're going to get these things. I thought I was just going to go in and out, but it happened to me. Thankfully, I'm okay. As you can see, I'm talking a lot better. I can speak a little bit better. I couldn't really even carry on a conversation without like running out of breath. I still carry a little bit of shortness of breath, but as the days go on, my lungs are getting stronger. Praise God. That was my story. I hope this helps you. If you're getting a umbilical or a hernia umbilical surgery, please have in mind, these are some of the things that could happen. It doesn't happen all the time. It is an outpatient thing, but just be aware that if these similar symptoms happen, hey, you're not the only one. Anyways, praise God for his hand over my life. I'm a believer, I'm a pastor, and I believe that throughout this whole time, Jesus was my advocate and he was my healer. So praise God. Shout out to God. Anyways, I hope this was entertaining and at the same time, life updating for you. Keep us in prayer. I mean, there's so many other things that have come up in the sense of like, wow, this was a weird thing. I believe it's also a spiritual attack. I just want to call it as it is. And so God knows that we have big plans for the city of Las Cruces. We have ministry plans coming up. And I feel like this is just one of many spiritual attacks that we're going to have to face. Obviously, nobody wants to go through those, but I covet your prayers and covering over our family, our finances, etc. Anyways, thank God I'm in a better place, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. Again, if you know someone who's gone through similar, share this video with them and encouraging them that they will get better. It does get better. And yeah, man, you just never know. Anyways, all right. Thank you for listening.